Welcome back to Why Blank Lost. I'm David Bloomberg, and of course, joining me once again is my co-host Jessica Lewis. We would do a bunch of coded phrases again this week to start off, but Brad is gone, so we don't even know what will happen next with those poor Xander butterfly relatives that may be flapping
Right.
in the breeze forever, never to find their broccoli trees again.
Yeah, the whole thing, I'm already over it. I was over it initially, and this fact that, like, this is what's happening? Can we talk about this? Like,
What?
there
What's happening?
oh, I don't
You seem to have stuff
ooh,
stuck to you all
I
over the
know.
place.
That's the way things are happening on the show right now, right? It's like if you happen to just sit down in a particular spot, suddenly this will be next to you,
A
and
beware advantage, otherwise known as a bad vantage.
right, and then you have the I'm an idol,
Oh, I
but
thought that
I'm
said I'm an idiot.
ah, you're funny.
Yeah.
No, I'm an idol, but only if you recite the lyrics to American Pie. And then, of course, the vote steal that
Oh,
never
sorry.
works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes.
So listen. There's like I'm over it. I really am. Like I love this show, and I'm sorry I'm gonna kvetch like right away, but like there's just like this. This episode was so much of this and not enough of like just people talking and kind of like actually playing the game. It's
Mm-hmm.
rather frustrating. So I will be interested though to see what happens now that Brad is gone. Like, does somebody else get to say the broccoli cheese? I don't even know that whatever it is. And then astroturf puppies. I'm not sure. Whatever the terminologies are, but at this point, it's like I can't even like that was I was embarrassed for Brad watching that. I was embarrassed for him.
Oh, I was amused watching it. I mean, I'm of two minds. Um, and how do you even manage to jump ahead of me when it's not even rules we're talking about? But
Because this is the way
I
I
know,
feel
I know.
right now.
I'm of two minds. One, parts of it are fun and funny. Hey, and also if it weren't like bad vantages dropping into people's laps, then it would just be idols and there would be seven idols in the game and four would have been played already.
Yeah, but
Um,
this is production, like, just
oh yeah.
interjecting itself way too much into the game. Like, if you wanna have idols, fine. Let's go back to there being 1 idol at each camp, and if somebody finds it, that's it. Like, somebody finds it and you wait for somebody to play it. We don't need all of this extra crap that is, like, just ruining the actual ability for people to play the game because they just become so worried about what does someone have in their pocket or their pants, like JD. I mean, this is like I'm sorry, Dalton Ross actually timed it. I think
Well,
19 minutes
yes.
was
So there,
spent
I actually
on
have the
that.
quote.
Yeah.
Dalton Ross said at the beginning of his episode recap, once you take out the commercials, the episode runtime was 43 minutes. The first 19 of those 43 minutes was spent almost entirely on idle and advantage related material. The other 24 minutes roughly consisted of a 10-minute challenge, 7 minutes of tribal council, and a few minutes at the UA Beach as contestants decided whether to get rid of JD or Brad. And even that discussion was almost entirely based around an advantage. Now,
Mhm.
I know some people, including a certain co host of this podcast, are
We know it.
complaining about there
Mhm.
being too many advantages.
Mhm.
But that's not even my complaint because after all that, only Brad got an advantage out of it and he couldn't even use it.
Well, and
So
that's the other thing too.
the advantages themselves, I'm not complaining about. You said it interferes with the gameplay.
Mhm.
I, spoiler alert, we're not going to find out that Brad was voted out because of advantages, I believe. But my complaint is what Dalton said, that there was so much time. It was all that time dedicated to Brad getting an advantage he couldn't use,
Mhm.
Tiffany and Sydney getting bupkis,
Yep.
and and what did we learn from that? We learned that Tiffany doesn't trust Sydney and Sydney doesn't trust Tiffany. And they
Yeah.
may never even meet each other
Right.
again.
Right.
So, and I did not even feel the importance. Like normally if someone gets a tarp, that's like, woo, big deal, you
Yeah.
know? Here, they're like, I don't know if it was important to either of these tribes to get
Mhm.
a tarp because we have literally no idea what their shelters or camp life are about.
I know, and this is the thing that I almost, this is gonna sound harsh because CBS, Survivor, I love you, but you are turning the show into Dora the Explorer at this point. Like, it really is. Like, it's like we're gonna travel up this little trail and we're gonna solve a little, we're gonna read this
I'm a
map
map.
and then we're right.
I'm a map.
we're we're gonna solve this riddle
Mhm.
and it's just like, can we stop with the game show aspect
Yeah.
of this and like
Brad,
let's
no
come back
sniping.
to
Brad, no sniping. Brad, no swiping. Swiping, sniping, anything, whatever.
Yeah, but it's just, to me, this game is so incredible on its own. It doesn't need all the extras. The extras are fine when they're extra. When they become the entire episode, I was honestly bored. I was like, what? I don't even, there's nothing like really gameplay happening. It's all this like, who happened to stumble upon an advantage and who's going to go into a boat because they're going to lose their vote. I don't even know who has votes anymore because everyone's like losing votes, get an extra vote, doesn't even matter because can't use it. It's too much. It's just go back to let it play out organically. And if you want to throw a couple idols in, fine. That's fine. But this is overkill. This is
Yeah.
just overkill.
I mean, I said it before. I never used to watch episodes twice. I was able to watch the episode, live tweet, and take
Mm-hmm.
notes for this podcast all at the same time.
Right.
Now I automatically have to watch twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, now, and that another thing I may have talked about this before, but my sons are both Big Brother fans, um, and just never got into Survivor. I blame myself. I'm very ashamed.
You should be ashamed.
Um,
How do you do that as a father? When you have
well,
a podcast for the show, for God's
Well,
sakes.
okay, they're in their 20s, it was a little while ago. The show is older than both of them. No,
Mm,
I'm sorry. They are both older than the show.
mhm.
So, when I think I've told the story before, but when I used to originally cover it, there was no TiVo, there was no Paramount Plus.
Right.
It was on a VCR.
Mhm.
So I wanted to watch it once and take notes once. So that meant the door to the basement got locked
Right.
and they were not allowed down here, and that just continued. And so yeah, I was not one of the people who Jeff likes that watches it with their family.
See, Jeff likes me
um
because I watch it with my family.
right. Jeff liked you till he hears this podcast.
I know, and
Yeah.
but listen, and I'm not trying to
No,
like
I yeah.
dump all
Yeah.
over them, but it's like this is just looking at the amount of tweets that were out there and the
Oh yeah.
response that people were having. People love Survivor because they love the game. They don't
Well,
love
right.
Survivor because it's a game show.
Right. Well, okay. So what I was saying is, neither of them watched Survivor, but now my older son has been watching this season.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, even with very limited knowledge of Survivor, he asked me, why is so much time being spent on advantages? And is it always like that?
There you go.
And, he said that he really liked Brad, but wanted to see more of him and less of the advantages.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, and so, I think that's a pretty strong proof of genetics there.
Mhm.
And in case that wasn't enough, after the second episode, he also wondered why the tribe didn't vote out the week. But
You're like, "Let me talk to you about
yeah,
that."
I said, well, there's a podcast for that.
There is.
Um,
Crazy. It's happening in his basement.
yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
Now I will say, by the way, we already knew you lost your winner pick episode 1. I lost my winner pick episode
Yeah.
2. The curse extends to our families because, as I mentioned, Brad was my son's favorite
Yeah.
player.
Well,
So,
and Voce was my husband's winner pick. So
yeah,
we're just terrible all across the board. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so with all that said, we will, I'm sure, talk more about things of that nature. So let me, for anyone, we're almost 10 minutes in. For anyone who might be new, I should probably explain what we normally do here, because it's not all about complaining about
Right.
advantages. maybe a good portion, maybe like
Mhm.
16.66667%.
Repeat it.
But which reminds me, by the way, of something that I was right about.
Oh, were you now?
Yeah, I know it happens
Hmm.
all the time. It's hard, but
Oh.
after the first in our podcast, after the first episode, I
Mhm.
threw out there, I said, I just think Voce is smart enough that he wouldn't just spout off about Jeff being wrong and say, oh, no, it's not 17%, it's 16.7%.
Mhm.
And you were like, you had a look very similar to that one. Um,
I'll go back to my
and
I'll
well,
cover my
since then, I have received solid information from a knowledgeable
solid
secret source.
information. Mhm.
Okay, we'll call them deep survivor throat. Um, that
This is amazing.
that tells me Jeff did not originally say 17%. He said a different number. And that is why Voce corrected him. And apparently they fixed Jeff in post-production so he wouldn't be saying the wrong number on TV.
Oh, I love this inside skinny.
So I believe you owe both of us.
What?
Hey, David, you're right.
Oh, listen, I don't even remember what I said.
You gave me that look. You
But I
gave
didn't say
me.
you were wrong.
Oh, yes, you did. You said it with your
Mm.
eyes, and you have very expressive eyes. We all know that.
Is that what I did? All right,
Mhm.
David, you're right. You
All
feel
right.
better?
I do, and we'll
We can
wait to
move
hear if
on.
Voce says. But if he accepts
Here, I
that
got a good
too.
idea. You keep talking.
Uh-oh. Oh, you're writing a Voce advantage? David, you're right advantage?
Maybe.
Oh. Did I spoil your surprise?
No, I'm
Oh.
adding another one.
Tick, tick, tick. This is
I know.
anyway.
So we could just, you want me to just stick this over here for
Oh yeah, just
the
put it wherever you
podcast?
want. Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. The David, you're right advantage. Anyone named David automatically gets
Right.
immunity.
That's it. You're all set.
That would suck if Voce came on there and he was like, "Wait, but my name really is David." Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, we are
Um,
definitely like far into it, and people still don't know what the hell we're talking about.
that's
So
true. That's true. So, yeah. Well, what we normally do here, what we will do here is compare Brad's game to rules I originally wrote way back after season 1. That 2000 Survivor that he was playing, and have been modifying ever since. We look at all the non-spoiler information available to us from what we saw on TV, interviews, social media, and Paramount Plus clips, if they would ever put any on there. Really,
True.
Paramount Plus, you're putting clips from the show on there. That helps nobody. Thanks a
Right.
lot. Whoever goes back to clips just because watch the whole anyway. The new updated version of the rules is available at robhasawebsite.com/blog/survivor rules. Or you can get the shorter and much more colorful version of the rules in poster form.
Poster form.
Yes, at
I did it right this
tinyurl.com.
time. I got it the first time.
tinyurl.com/David Rules Poster 2.
Yes. And I
It
have actually gotten a few inquiries about it if it can be shipped into other countries, and it can be, but just not through eBay. So contact me through Twitter, and we can certainly take care of that for you.
Yes. In addition to the poster, we have another way to get the rules so you can always have them with you, and that is t-shirt form. And you can just go to robhasawebsite.com or robhasapodcast.com, click the merch link near the top. That will take you to the RHAP shop where you can scroll through to find not just one, but 2 different designs, because there's the checklist design.
It's lovely.
You can get on a mug, you can get on a t-shirt, you can get stuff on a sweatshirt. You can get
so many
anything
options.
you want. Yes.
So many options.
Yes. Now, normally this is where I would say we always have stuff to discuss before we get to the rules, but we already discussed a lot of stuff. So we'll just continue discussing stuff before we get to the rules. But now we're making it official. So for the past 2 weeks, I predicted that if UA lost the challenge, Brad was in trouble. While I did predict that Yase would be the one to lose because let's face it, that was a good bet.
Mm-hmm.
I as I said before, I am taking partial credit.
Here we go again.
I mean, well, I thought you were going to say, well, so am I, because I agreed with you.
Sure. Because I love predictions and I'm so good at them, right? That I should really sit here and brag when I get a little bit close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay! We were
Yeah.
so good. We did great. Maybe
mean,
this week we'll do better.
yeah. I mean, I do think there's a little bit of credit there, because part of the reason we predicted that is that we saw the Shan Ricard relationship.
Mhm.
A lot of people I saw on Twitter were like, "How are we supposed to know about this relationship?" And I was like, "Well,
There's
we
too many
did."
advantages.
Well, okay, that's not what we were talking about. Is that going to be your answer to everything today?
Yes, that
Um,
is. I'm moody, so that's gonna be my answer.
but but anyway, my point is, we saw it there. We could put the pieces together and
Mm,
see that, and it
right.
held. I
Oh,
mean, well, okay,
took us a little bit,
spoiler,
but
it held.
yeah, we got
Um,
there.
now, um, one other things I want to talk about is that sometimes Survivor will start off an episode by providing a tidbit of information about the vote from the prior tribal council. This week, we began by finding out once again that Liana wanted to vote out Xander. But they still didn't give us the full picture of why she changed her mind. She's
Yeah.
just sitting on the beach, upset about it,
Mhm.
saying this could be my $1 million mistake.
Yeah.
Now, did they just show that clip because they liked her quote and they wanted to put it as the title? I don't know, but based on the available information, we have to presume that we were right last week too.
Oh, okay. Yay! Look at
Yeah.
us. We are doing so good. I'm gonna take a drink on behalf of us.
Cheers. Mm.
We're killing it.
Both of us drinking at the same time is great for the podcast.
It really is. People love
Yeah,
it.
that's probably shouldn't do that anymore.
It was like that time that I ate cheese or something. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? I think you were upset with me after that. I ate chicken wings once too.
Yes, I remember the chicken wings, that's for sure. Okay, going back to another topic, which relates to something you've already brought up, and that's what I call the boat or vote beware advantage.
Mhm.
This
I
is a
have it here
topic.
somewhere.
Yeah,
It's fallen from the sky.
this is a topic we've hit on before. It's not all that difficult to sneak away at night on Survivor.
It's really not. Just be like, I have to go poop.
Yeah, well, you don't even have to say anything. I
Right.
mean, Eric Reichenbach tweeted, "It looks like everyone can see everyone with the night vision, but it's pitch black. Also,
Mhm.
nobody gives a bleep if you wander away at night because there's not really much you can do on an island in the dark except go pee.
Right.
Other than what you said, which is go poop, but apparently you need a partner for that based on last week's."
Oh Lord, let's not talk about that again.
Okay.
That was a
Well,
lot. But Eric is right. It is very dark out there, and you really cannot see a damn thing. So yeah, if someone's getting up and leaving, the only way that you're going to notice is if you hear something, and that's it. And if you hear something, that doesn't mean that anything exciting is happening. I mean, there's a boat pulling up for God's sakes. Like that should be the loudest thing that's happening, right?
right. Or a cameraman walking over and dropping a beware advantage by the fire.
I'm so curious how they did that.
That's
Like,
got to be how.
oh my
It's
gosh.
just like, some cameraman walked by, went, and
He
just
just
tossed
like
it over there.
shook it out of his pant leg as he
Yeah.
like walked by.
Well, speaking of shaking things out of their pant leg and going to the bathroom and advantages, we've got JD.
Yes.
Because come on, man. You went to take a potty break and you came back with the vote hanging out of your shorts.
No, this is
You-
all bad. This is all bad Survivor.
I mean, you got to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
That's worse than walking out with toilet paper stuck to your shoe.
Listen, it's all of and here's the it's just bad. It's just bad. I don't know how else to describe it, but if you have something like that, you should be so like mindful and
Mm-hmm.
paranoid that someone's going to find it and you're doing everything you can to hide it and make sure that nobody does. I mean, I was trying to hide that legacy forever. That thing was disgusting by the time I was done because it was like
And then
trying to hide it.
and then you gave it to Ken.
Right, and
Lucky
then I had to
him.
give it to someone, like, "Here you go, have fun with that." Pretty gross, But, that's what you have to do with those things because everyone knows what to look for now. If you have some parchment or if you have some
Mm-hmm.
different type of wrapping, people know what to pay attention to. And yeah, that was a bad move for sure.
JD. He got grounded for it.
I know. Craziness.
All right. Well, I almost hate to do this, but is there anything else you want to talk to before we get to the
Oh,
rules?
you really hate to do this, do you? Oh, look at that. Why don't you just tell me to stop talking? Lord have mercy. No, I won't complain anymore for now. I mean, if we get there throughout the rules,
If
I
we
will
get, we're
definitely.
going to get there. There's rule 7. We're going to get
Okay, yeah.
there.
So get ready because I'll complain some
Where's
more.
that? God,
Yeah.
there it is. Rule 7.
And yeah, so we'll definitely get there to complain some more for sure. But for
All right.
now, we'll try to get through this and I'll keep my complaining to a minimum. I'll try. No promises.
All right. Well, Brad's final words were that he put too much trust in one person and got wrapped up in the fun of the game. Both of these things are somewhat true, but there were several other more hidden layers that even surprised me as I was pulling together my notes for the podcast. So let's not hide in the bushes. We can just pretend all the listeners out there are Shan and we're Brad, and we'll tell you everything there is to know while we figure out why Brad lost.
We might even build a dummy. I should have had one. I should have built a little dummy too. Sitting over in the corner. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
All right. Well, I just like when you have stream of consciousness, like things
Right,
are just
random
coming to
thoughts.
you. It's
This
just
is my
like,
life, and I would like to put a lot more of it on Twitter, but people would probably be very scared. So I don't do that.
okay. Well, rule number 1, which is the first and most important rule, still says that you need to scheme and plot. And I do want to say that even with all the advantages, I've already given a spoiler about this. It really comes down to this rule once again in many,
Yeah.
many ways. Not entirely, but Brad wasn't doing a whole lot of this rule. We saw from the beginning, and we heard from Sarah telling Mike Bloom that Brad and Jeannie, quote, were very honest, loyal, and upfront with who they were voting for. They kind of weren't strategizing, which I found a little bit hard. I don't mean to be talking badly about them, but they didn't want to talk strategy until after we lost the challenge. And sure, Brad did form a tight bond with Jeannie, but 2 on a tribe of 6, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And the reason that he said he bonded with her was over work ethic. While almost any reason is a decent reason to align with someone early on, that kind of alliance isn't going to carry very far and bring in a bunch more people.
Right.
I know he thought he had Shan as well, but that was more because of how she acted towards him rather than strategic moves that he made.
Right. I feel like Brad came into this game more excited about the prospect of playing Survivor with people as opposed to I'm going to be playing a game against people. And so that's a really big difference. It depends on your approach and how you are handling every situation. And we saw how he spit out people's names, who he wanted to vote out in front of those people. Now, he addressed some of that in his exit press, saying that he had been hounded for like 4 hours and he finally had to give a name. No, you don't. You don't have to ever give a name. And it's just this, there's almost like this, like over enthusiastic, I'm going to play this game, but not fully comprehending all of the nuances of it. And so we really saw his strategizing kind of take a dive because I think he got overexcited, especially with the damn advantages, like
You couldn't
affecting
even
his
make it
ability.
one
I
rule.
can't because it affected his ability to strategize properly because
I
he
mean,
was like, look at all these things I have. I'm
I would,
amazing.
I don't think it affected his ability to strategize. I think he thought that it did because he told Mike Bloom the 4 things I had zeroed out. So I thought I can't play aggressive. I backed off. I trusted my alliance. I laid it all out to Shan saying, use me how you want to use me. But that's not really the case.
Mhm.
He he was thinking the wrong things when it came to strategizing.
Right.
And he thought he had Shan, but in fact, Shan appears to be much tighter, as we talked about a little while ago already. Ricard.
Right. Well,
And
Shan's playing the way he's not playing. She is playing a
yes,
game against people, and
right,
he's trying to play the game with people, which you have to do, but you also have to understand the limitations of the people you're playing
right.
with, what they bring to the table, what they're going to offer. And he was just kind of caught up in this, like, oh, she's with me. No, that's not how Survivor works. She might
Right.
be today, she might not be tomorrow.
Yeah, because I mean, we had talked about this before, and I think we were right that Shan had multiple alliances,
Mm-hmm.
and she was in the center of all of them. And this may eventually come back to haunt her, but for now, it means she controls everything if she wants to.
Right.
Or at least that's what it looks like to us. In this case, I see a lot of similarities to the Voce vote last week. Shan might not have wanted to vote out Brad, but her tight ally, Ricard, clearly wanted him out since the beginning and was pushing for it in the first tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
Brad told Mike Bloom, Ricard and I clashed from Jump Street. From the get-go, I was against Ricard. That's why that first tribal, I was trying to get Ricard. That's one of the reasons why Jeannie voted for him.
Yeah.
Um, and then Brad said in multiple interviews that even though we didn't see it, he had a feeling he was getting booted. He told, and this also goes back to what I said about him not understanding what strategizing really was.
Mm-hmm.
He told Dalton Ross, my trouble was my powers were gone. I had no vote, so I couldn't get actively involved and really get to strategize.
Yeah, but you still
No,
can. Yeah, right. You still
exactly.
can. Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, that's when you should be, when
Right.
you don't have
When you roll over and
advantages.
die, well, then that's what happens.
Right. I mean, yes, I understand that the season so far might seem like it's all about powers and advantages and whatnot, but
It
the
is.
real, but the real power is in strategizing with people.
Yes.
And it also involves something that he had in abundance: loyalty and honesty.
Yes, and see, that's the thing. He could have been the perfect alliance partner if he had been able to line all of those things up, because you certainly want a loyal person to be aligned
Hmm.
with, because especially like Brad, because he's going to tell you who he's voting for. Like there's no question. You don't have to worry that he's telling you one thing and doing another. Like you know where Brad is coming from. And so, someone like Brad is a great alliance partner to have. But Brad didn't even understand what he was offering up. Like he didn't understand what he could bring to the table. And I do think that he just kind of gave it all to Shan. He was like, "Well, here you go. Like I'm here, but do whatever you want." And unfortunately, she was like, "Okay," and
Yeah.
got rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he could have used it more, but he burned his loyalty and honesty on Ricard and JD.
Yeah.
So he had to rely completely on Shan
Mhm.
because he didn't appear willing to try to patch things up with the other two.
Right.
And since JD was his preferred target, that really only left Ricard. And it's really difficult to do that when you've been gunning for someone since day one.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, he just I think you said it really well at the beginning, which was he was so focused on the advantages that he didn't play the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, Now I do want to say that it sounds like Brad did a little strategizing at the Boater Vote Island. But even then, he did it by being honest with the two
Right.
women,
Right.
telling them he could be in trouble and needed to steal a vote. And then the other two agreed to let him get it in return for, some sort of future consideration that they will now never get.
Right. So that was a big waste of time.
Yes.
19 minutes in.
Yes.
Thanks, Dalton. I'm so happy he did that.
Yes.
I love that guy.
Yes. Maybe Jeff will listen to Dalton.
Maybe we should just blame Mike White. Was Mike White the one that said everything just
Mike,
needs to be more fun?
yes, but I don't think they ran. I think Rob talked about this either with Steven, I think with T-Bird. Somebody he talked about, did you run this part by Mike White.
Yeah, like,
You
did we
know?
ask him what he thought about this? Because he got rid of
Because
that other garbage and was
right.
like, "No, Jeff, don't do that."
I
Maybe
mean,
Mike White would have been like, Jeff, let's stop."
some of this is fun. Some of it sounds like fun. But when you get to the edited show
Yeah,
is when it's not fun anymore.
right. It's definitely not fun.
So, all right. Well, the second rule says not to scheme and plot too much and to keep your scheming secret. Now, you, as you sometimes do, jumped a little bit ahead here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm gonna play my steal a vote now so I can
The steal a rule advantage.
Yeah. Ooh, there we go. It's another one. I have to write that down.
But
Skip
so
ahead. That's gonna be another. I'm
yeah,
gonna make another one. They're
we're
gonna
gonna
be all over.
you could just use Uno cards at this point.
Right? Be
Reverse.
like, at this
All of a sudden you play the reverse advantage on me and we have to start at appendix B.
draw 2, we get to bump 2 rules
Yeah.
ahead. Oh, this is so good. I love this plan. I'm gonna have
Um,
so many.
so tell us again, how do you think Brad did in terms of keeping his scheming secret?
Considering he told people to their faces what he wanted to do, I would say very badly. He's a fun guy. I don't, he's definitely like he's the guy that like you want to go to like I don't know, like a hoedown kind of thing, like play some music, drink a few beers, like talk about the ranch. I mean, like he's a great guy, but like no, and here's the thing. I will say that people might and they've talked about it like, well, Russell Hantz did the same thing. Yeah, but that was all part of Russell Hantz's scheming and plotting. Like he was doing that on purpose. Brad just didn't know what to say. So he was like, those two. Like right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was
I
he just didn't have the knack for it.
Yeah, I mean, I will give him a little bit of slack, cut him a little slack because he was kind of bum rushed by Ricard and Ricard was the one he wanted out, so he knew he
Right.
couldn't answer Ricard. So at least he knew that much.
Yes.
He knew that Shan wouldn't believe that he was saying Shan because he was with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really only Sarah that would have gotten mad at him saying this.
But he dropped Shan's name too. Like it was all very weird.
Yeah. So yeah, but I do think that there was more of his behavior that caused problems in this rule because he was just so all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to how he kept talking about risks in the game. Got to take risks. You don't win this game by playing it safe. You got to win the game by taking risk. Risk equals reward. The problem is, Brad, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Okay?
Yeah, I think he probably got caught up too, and we mentioned this before on one of the podcasts where like the emphasis on this season is it's going to move fast, and you have to move fast. It's like you know what somebody quoted Ferris Bueller, right?
Yes.
And so it's like that Ferris Bueller, like sometimes life moves fast, and if you don't move with it, then you're gonna miss it, kind of thing. Like it's very similar here, where Brad was like, I got to do everything, and I have to do everything now because that's the way this game is being played. And I can appreciate the enthusiasm and his desire to want to play the game the way that he was. Like, it was entertaining and he was involved and he was trying to like, see things and figure out things, but you have to find that balance. And he just was never able to find that balance. And so you can do all of those things like Tony Vlachos, but then you have to be able to scheme and plot like Tony Vlachos. You could say things like Russell Hantz, but then you have to be able to scheme and plot like Russell Hantz. So there's this other side that he was clearly dismissing. He just thought, I have to go fast, I have to do everything, and I have to do it now. And then he made too many assumptions about the people that he had kind of aligned himself to, thinking that, well, this will be safe for me to do because I know I've got Shan. Not thinking, you know what? If I want to do this, I have to be super duper secret about it because this is very, very sneaky.
Yes. So,
did I jump ahead?
Well, in my notes, but you have no way of knowing that. So let me finish the thought that I was on, and then we can get to that because I just want to say, he kept saying risk equals reward. No, risk equals risk.
Yeah.
If risk automatically equaled reward, it wouldn't be a risk by definition.
Right.
Brad was like a gambler who thought if he just kept throwing money at the game, he would definitely win. You know what casinos say about people like that? Come on in,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
know,
Mhm.
because they get rich off of people like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had fun doing it. He was amusing to watch, but it's not the way to win the game. And, we've said this before. That's why we are here. That is
Yeah.
what this podcast is about, talking about winning the game. And we've said it before. He didn't call it a big move, he called it a big risk. I don't care. Big moves, big risks, whatever, they don't win. Small, smart moves or risks do.
Mhm.
Now, you were talking about the Spy Shack run. Oh, I
Mhm.
can do that in front of Shan
Yep.
because I'm with her. Well, when I was live tweeting, I compared Brad to Icarus, who is, of course, the mythological figure who created wings and then was literally flying high until he got too close to the sun. That was Brad. By the way, this is also an educational podcast. Um,
Love it.
this will be on the quiz. Um,
Okay.
he had a blast until his wings melted off.
Yeah.
And much of Brad's flight revolved around advantages, which
Mm,
we'll discuss later and
you
have
mentioned
already
it this
discussed
time, not
before.
me.
Yes. I thought you might just say it.
I was being good. I was
Uh,
holding on
the one time. Um,
just that one time.
um, but another good example is what you mentioned, the Spy Shack run. It was right there in front of Shan, and then he came back and told her everything.
Yeah.
Now, he explained in interviews he thought Shan was aligned with him, so it wasn't a big deal. But you just can't show people you're doing things like that at such an early point in the game and
Right.
expect that they're just going to be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
I
because she immediately thought the way every other survivor would, like, "Oh, if he does that to them, is he gonna do that to me?"
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the first episode, we thought, wow, this Brad, he's so straightforward. After the second, the other players were like, Brad is a little unpredictable. He's actually playing all of a sudden, and he was doing too much of it.
Yeah.
Um, so before we move to rule 3, one other thing that does deserve mention here, that doesn't quite fall into that same category of craziness, um, is that Brad was, as we mentioned in the first rule, in a tight duo with Jeannie.
Mhm.
And he even mentioned in some interviews that they were worried about it. And, they were right to feel that concern.
Right.
It may not have been the primary reason he was voted out, but I really do think it contributed because if Shan had chosen to go with him and vote out JD, she would have been casting her lot with an unbreakable duo.
Yeah, for sure. Mhm. Fair point. Which, by the way, can I just say, Jeannie during the challenge was like all of us watching Survivor. Like, I mean, that was all of us. Like every that she dropped and an annoyance that she showed and kicking the bench. That was all of us watching that episode of Survivor. She was all of us. Thank you for that, Jeannie.
All right. Well, the third rule tells players to be flexible. And I don't know that we need to say much here because Brad said it himself.
He did.
Yeah. Dalton Ross asked what Brad would change. And he said, I would be a little more flexible. That first vote, I'd be like, JD is on my tribe and he's in my alliance. And when I stepped into that thing with Ricard, Shan, and Sarah, I think maybe I should have been a little more flexible to go, I really want JD to stick around, but if you three want JD gone, I'm here with you.
Mhm.
I think I was a little bit inflexible. Even in this boot episode we just had, I was like, nope, JD flubbed up at the immunity challenge, so JD should go. But maybe I could have been a little more fluid. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he summed it up pretty well.
he
He
did.
got too locked in on his targets. He wasn't willing to consider the possibility of working with them instead of against them.
And he, interestingly enough, in his pre-game interviews, mentioned specifically how he was very flexible, and he thought that that would be one of his attributes that he would be able to bring to the game. And I was like, "Oh, look at that!" And then he was like, "I wasn't. Never
Yeah.
mind. I was terrible at it."
Ah, Dalton has never been so quoted in one of our podcasts. Well, I
I
guess that's
know,
not
this is
quoting
so much
Dalton. It's
fun.
quoting Dalton, quoting Brad.
Right.
Um, So, so the fourth rule tells players not to let their emotions control them. And I think Brad definitely had some issues here because he really did play with his heart.
Hmm.
Why did he trust Jeannie? Well, because they got along so well at a deeper level, as he described it. Now, that turned out okay. But why did he trust Shan so much? Very similar reason.
Mm.
And he even mentioned to Gordon Holmes that he was hurt by Shan voting him out because of that connection. He clearly wouldn't have gone against her unless, maybe he were put in a position of her or Jeannie.
Right.
And that's a problem on Survivor, to be that tied to someone.
Yeah, and I think that that goes back to the way that he was playing this game, where he wanted to play with people, and he was all excited about that idea of playing with people, not realizing that you can't all win in the end. And so you're going to have to figure out how to play the game with people, but also figure out how to play against them at the same time in order to further your own game. And I really think that the fact that he became so connected to people and then just didn't even want to consider them as a possibility just did show that he struggled here greatly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, the fifth rule is all about the social game and reminds players they need to pretend to be nice. I don't know, Jessica. Do you think Brad was nice enough?
I would say yes. I think Brad was highly entertaining, but also kind of a head scratcher to some of the people he was playing the game with because they're like, I don't know what this guy's deal is. Like, I mean, he's gonna tell you to your face that he wants you to go home, but he's gonna like hug you at the same time and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna vote you out because you were weak in the challenge, but it's okay. Like, we're all great." So I think he was an interesting mix because he certainly didn't have to pretend to be nice. He was clearly like beaming when he was out there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the things that he did would make you think that wasn't a good idea. So, it's kind of a mix, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the sixth rule warns against being too much of a threat. And I think we can combine this discussion. We don't have an Uno card for this, but
I
we
can,
can.
I post it.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go on the fly and do it without
All
even
right.
having an
Love it.
advantage.
Look at this. So dangerous.
Yes. I want to combine this discussion with the seventh rule because the main reason that Brad was a threat for the sixth rule was due to all the advantages he had. And the seventh rule covers idols and advantages,
Mm-hmm.
including how to handle them.
Right.
Of course, how to handle them includes whether to tell people. And Brad just spilled everything to
Yeah.
Shan. When he was asked about it in interviews, he said he's now second guessing it, but he knew Jeannie was with him. And since he didn't have a vote, they needed someone else. Quote, and so I said, I need Shan, and I've got to just open up to her and at least give her the shot to say, whoa, Brad has a lot of power and I can go with them. Or Brad has a lot of power. We need to cut his throat.
Right.
So it was a calculated risk. Obviously, the calculation didn't go his way.
Right.
Maybe
And
he
even
should have asked
if
Voce. Maybe he should have asked Voce for the specific percentage
right, for the
chance.
actual percentage,
Yeah.
even if he knows that he doesn't have a vote, and he needs Shan, he could still have tried to have that conversation with Shan without having to like throw up all
Yes.
over her with everything. Like, you don't need to divulge all of your secrets. You can just try to kind of see where her head is at and like, how are we doing, working together for the next vote and just kind of test the waters a little bit. And instead of like going, hey, here's all of my deepest, darkest secrets. And I put all of my faith in you because I believe that you were with me when he didn't even know for certain that she was. He thought she was. Clearly,
Hmm.
she wasn't. So I think that that's one of those decisions that, it was a calculated risk. It wasn't one he needed to take.
And he didn't do the calculations right.
No, he didn't.
Um, and he now recognizes that he shouldn't have told Shan that he didn't have a vote.
Right.
He should have, if he was going to tell her anything, he should have just said he found the idol. Um, and this is an interesting point because knowing that he had no vote, even if Shan wanted to go with Brad and Jeannie, it would have been a tie unless Brad gave her his steal a vote or she used JD's extra vote. So she would have needed to burn and advantage and her closest allies.
It's coming back. You just said advantage like 10
I
times.
know. Oh, I can't see it. It's reflecting off the light.
There's
Reward
too many.
advantage. Oh, beware advantage.
Beware advantage. There's too
Yes.
many. There's too many things that you have to steal a vote, don't have a vote. Who can I give it to? Can this person play it? I'm not allowed to vote. Do I have an idol? It's not working. It's too much. It's too much.
Yes. Yes. Now, this does also play into another reason to target Brad, which goes back to everything we said about why it would have made sense to target Xander.
Mm-hmm.
No vote, no ability to use shot in the dark, stops him before he can get his idol and potentially shake things up, eliminates huge threats to Shan's game.
Right.
In addition, we don't know because we didn't hear from Shan, but she seems smart enough to also be considering if she votes him out, you now have eliminated one part of the three-way idol,
Mm-hmm.
which we've got to believe it's coming back, but at
Of
least
course it
it
is.
delays it.
Production's going to
And
drop it right in the middle of the
yeah,
fire so everybody
well,
can see it.
but that's exactly it. She knows to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people don't.
Right.
So she will have an advantage in finding the advantage and deciding whether to even pick it up. She may find it, leave it, and wait until the AstroTurf goat comment is made
Mm-hmm.
before she then gets it, because she doesn't want to be without her vote.
Right.
Or she could tell JD, hey, JD, go grab that and open that, will you?
Mm.
So there's all sorts of things that could screw with other people. And all of those possibilities, both the threats were removed and the possibilities reopened all in one fell swoop.
Right. Yeah.
Now, we should talk about, well, I should note that Brad considered giving the steal a vote to Jeannie to use because he said he didn't feel particularly safe.
Mm-hmm.
But he said in interviews that if it was 3-1 and Jeannie stole JD's vote, it would be 2-2. And then since the tie would be on him and JD, they wouldn't be able to vote, which means Jeannie theoretically couldn't use JD's stolen vote for the tiebreaker, and Brad would lose 2-1. But what Brad doesn't seem to have considered is Jeannie could have stolen Ricard's vote. And then she would have had 2 votes at the tie against Shan's 1, and JD would be gone.
Yeah, he definitely did the math wrong there. I was looking at that going, I don't think you calculated that correctly.
Right. Well, and that's
Need vote
exactly
J.
why that's exactly why in the past there have been discussions about this on the Survivor message boards, Twitter, every podcasts. This is why you don't steal the vote from the target.
Right.
You steal it from one of the target's allies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe Brad was thinking, I'm not sure this is the way it's going to go. So stealing it from Ricard gets people mad. But let's face it, he and Ricard were already butting heads. Jeannie and Ricard were butting heads.
Right.
We saw Ricard say, well, at least you spelled my name right when you wrote my vote. You wrote it down to Jeannie. So, and he didn't say that. I think somewhere it just didn't occur to him, which again, I mean, on the one hand, you can say, if you want to, I know you don't want to, but if you want to, you can say, this adds another layer to the game. You have to be able to figure these things out. And it takes a strategic mind, a problem-solving
mind. A beautiful mind
to figure it out. But if it's so confusing that the players can't tell.
Right. Well, but and the other thing too, and this is why it makes it even more confusing, because even if you have a full understanding of what you've got in your pocket, right? What if he's got to steal a vote and he tries to steal a vote from somebody who doesn't have a vote? How does that work? You know what I mean? But that's the problem with all of these extra things added into it, because your advantage then just goes away. You just don't get it because you picked the wrong person who happened to have some advantage. It's an actual disadvantage, and they lost their vote because they didn't say broccolis or little trees at the right point, and there's no AstroTurf dogs or whatever it is. Like, it's one of those things where you end up not being able to reap the benefits of the reward you have because someone else's gameplay has been negatively affected by the disadvantage they have. And so
Hmm.
that to me just makes it too complex, where it's not just like this person's going to play an idol, so we're going to vote for this person, or we're going to try to flush the idol. Like those things you can kind of work through and in a much easier fashion. When too many things cancel each other out, that becomes an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we need Jeff with his chalkboard up there again,
Right.
like he
Like you
did
got to
one
explain some
time,
shit to us.
Um, so yeah. By the way, I do want to say something where maybe David wasn't 100% right. I know, because last week we talked about how no, put that back up there. Um, we
You
talked
just said
about
it.
how maybe somebody might not open a beware advantage, but I
Mhm.
think this week definitively proved that no, everyone is going to open it no matter what it says on the outside.
Yeah,
It
probably.
it could say like flashing red letters, radioactive,
Yeah.
beware, and they'd be
Will
like,
explode upon reading.
right, right. They'd be like, oh, well, maybe I'll get a cool advantage when it
Right.
explodes.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. We could move on to Appendix A, which is about the tribe keeping their end goals in mind when voting. And of course, we talk about the players voting out the weak, then the strong, then the weak, then the strong. I know Brad was saying that JD didn't do great in challenges. And admittedly, JD, sorry, you look kind of silly trying and failing to do layups with the sandbags.
It was pretty amazingly
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, it like went 2 inches above his
The
fingers. It
build up
was,
though it was like this really, and then
yeah.
not
Wah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite fun. Quite fun.
Um, you know, but that wasn't really a factor here. It was the weak strong portion was not a factor. It was the long term game.
Right. Yeah.
Um, last week we talked about Evie saying it's more important to have loyalty, and it seems pretty clear that Shan shares that mindset. We've been talking about Evie and Shan
Mhm.
since episode 1. And I
Right.
think, now is a good time to do it again because, Brad was incredibly loyal to Shan. But it seems like Ricard is incredibly loyal as well. And Shan has JD's loyalty in the form of debt, basically.
Mhm.
But I think it all came down to Ricard versus Brad. She couldn't keep both of them around. And getting rid of JD would have put her in the position that I mentioned earlier about, having that unbreakable duo. So if they went to another tribal council, let's say she votes off JD. They go to another tribal council. Well, either she stands with Ricard and it's a tie, or she has to vote out Ricard and hope they don't go to another tribal council because then
Right.
she's gone. So she would have been, instead of maintaining control of the tribe, she would have been handing it to Brad and Jeannie.
Which is a crazy idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm. No, I think that she is playing the game within the constructs that she's now been given, right? She's trying to consider all of these things that have been added in addition to an understanding of just how the game works itself. And with all of the advantages, you have to try to figure those into your game as well. And I think that she's doing a very nice job of doing it while also having knowledge of all of those things because of the social game that she's playing too. So she's combining the two as best as you can in these circumstances.
Yeah. And, it does bring up an interesting point. One way to deal with all the advantages is to eliminate them.
For sure.
You get
Yeah.
rid of the complications.
Yeah. And then yeah, it's done. I would love that. It's a good
Yes.
idea.
No, I mean,
David,
for
you're
her
right.
to do that. Well, yes, of course. Um, so, all right. With all of that said, it's about time to wrap things up. So, Jessica, what are your final thoughts other than stop the advantages?
Okay. I won't complain too much about that.
Yeah.
All right. So what do I think about Brad? Well, I don't think Brad looks like a broccoli tree or any type of broccoli, but I will say somebody on Twitter did put his face onto like a cartoon piece of broccoli, and it was quite amusing. And there were some similarities. So perhaps he really is just a big stalk of broccoli, but he tried. He really tried. That was like a really bad public speaking moment when he got up there to
Yeah.
like put that out into the universe, and it really didn't come across the way that it should. but nice try. They should have picked something different and not that. But I'll stop complaining about advantages and disadvantages. I will say this. This is what Brad said, that one of his mottos is, it's easier to go from failure to success than excuses to success. So let's play, let's make a mistake, let's adapt, let's go. Well, Brad, unfortunately, you did do all of those things and you made a really big mistake because you ended up finding yourself voted out. And I shouldn't laugh because listen, I've been there and it happens when you play Survivor. Sometimes you just make the wrong call. Sometimes you think I'm going to share some information with this person because it's in my best interest, and it really turns out not to be because you've put your faith into that person. I've been there. I've done the same exact thing, and it's a very hard pill to swallow when you realize I screwed up and that was a bad thing for me to do. But unfortunately, it really got to Brad very quickly because he overshared when he really had so much information he should have held within himself, because that would have given him more power in the game. And he didn't understand the power that he actually had, considering the type of game that we are playing now in this new era of Survivor, where it's a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages, and steal a vote and you don't get to vote and all of these extra things. And he was just brimming. I mean, he had so many of these things. And so I think for Brad, he came into Survivor kind of a newbie, I guess we could say, as far as the game of Survivor. He's just started watching very recently. He, I don't think, had a full grasp of the Survivor history like he really needed to, like someone like Shan, who really has that full understanding of that Survivor history. And so for Brad, he just found himself being overplayed by other people on his tribe and not realizing that they were outplaying him at the same time. And so unfortunately, Brad realizes that he made some mistakes. I mean, he came in there wanting to play, wanting to have fun, wanting to take risks. So he did all of those things and he found himself voted out.
Yeah, I saw that same quote that you saw, and I thought, yes, Brad, that's a fine motto for life.
Yes.
Survivor, unless you're really lucky and you have a good friend like David Wright save you,
Exactly. See?
you don't get the chance. You often don't get second chances on
Right.
Survivor.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, you don't have a chance to learn from them
Mm-hmm.
because you're gone.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that was definitely something I saw also in his quote.
Mm-hmm.
But really, Brad couldn't stop talking about risks. And more importantly, he couldn't stop taking risks. But despite him automatically equating risk to reward, again, that's not the way it actually works. Sure, some risks lead to reward. I mean, you can spend $1 and maybe win the lottery, but 99.999999999% of the time, you're not going to. And on Survivor, a big risk more often leads to your torch getting snuffed, especially this early in the game. This isn't a situation where you're in the final four and the only way you can win is to take some big chance. This is day 7. There are 15 people left in the game. A common piece of poker advice is that you can't win the tournament in the early rounds, but you can lose it. And that's, what we saw here. Last week, I talked about some who claim luck is now more important on Survivor than strategy. But this week again proved my point. It wasn't luck or advantages that caused Brad to be booted. It was strategy and scheming, done well by others and not so much by him. Shannon Ricard had a choice. Keeping Brad around posed too many potential problems. He could get the idol. That would allow him to use the steal a vote. And who knew what else he would do? But Ricard certainly knew it wouldn't be good for him. Shan needed to stay in control, and she couldn't do that either with an unpredictable loose cannon or with an unbreakable duo still in the game, let alone both. She faced the same decision that Evie and Liana seemingly did last week. But unlike last week, her ally did want the person with all the toys to be voted out. She kept Ricard as a solid ally while cementing her place at the top of the tribe. That didn't have to happen. Yes, Brad was in a bad spot to begin with because he and Ricard were battling each other from the get-go. but Brad just kept running hot and couldn't chill out. Earlier, I compared Brad to Icarus, who was told not to fly too close to the sun. Almost every week, we tell people not to fall for the big moves mantra. If you do, you're very likely to get burned and fall back to earth in devastating fashion. Brad was enjoying his flight too much and missed a couple possible options to stay up in the air while giving Shan instructions on exactly how and when to shoot him down. And that is why Brad lost.
There we are.
Mm-hmm. So, before we get to our predictions,
Which I'm not doing. I told you this last week.
no, you said you are doing them. I heard you. I may have heard you selectively, but
I think you misheard me.
yeah. Let me remind everyone that the rules we just discussed are available in poster
Form.
poster form and t-shirt form and sweatshirt form and mug form and you name it. Again, for the shirts or mug, go to robhasawebsite.com or robhasapodcast.com. Click on the merch link. For the poster, go to tinyurl.com/davidrulesposter2.
Yep.
I have a feeling I'm about to see a no predictions advantage. A steal of prediction.
This is mine. You ready for you?
You can give away your
So
predictions.
you can have my predictions.
Oh,
I'm giving
no,
it to you.
I have the prediction giveaway steal.
So you stole my predictions.
No, I stole your advantage to
Give it. So
give it
you're
away.
canceling it.
Yes.
Okay, but wait.
So anyway,
this could go on forever.
I know. So you know what though? It occurred to me. We both lost our winner picks already. We should make new ones.
What? We've never done this before.
We've never lost them 1 and 2.
Look at you. Look, you're all like, you're like really into this. You're like,
I actually don't have any idea who I would pick. So we can think about that for next week.
Okay.
We'll give you a 1 week replay.
And then the butterfly effect will happen and
Yes.
the relatives and dead butterflies and
yes.
That person's going to be in trouble.
Yes. So whoever it is that one of us would pick, we're giving you a 1 week reprieve.
Exactly. I'm so sorry.
But in all seriousness, next week is a tough one to predict. On the Luvu tribe, the Love You tribe.
Love you.
The Nasir has gone from bad to good to bad again.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, that means if they lose, he should be the target unless he goes to good again. But on the preview, Erica, whoever that is, says that Sydney is very reactive and impulsive. And we see Sydney get pissed when she tries to start fire and can't. But would producers be that blatant? I don't think so. I'm going to bring up Hubicki's Law. For anyone new to the podcast or may have forgotten, that means anytime someone is heavily featured in a preview as possibly being in danger, they're almost certainly safe.
Yeah.
So I think Sydney is safe. Now, the other thing we saw in that tribe is that Deshaun wants to throw the challenge, but Danny doesn't love the idea. Now, I don't know why, because Danny was on the Chicago Bears for a season. He should be used to the idea of throwing away games.
Oh, burn. That was mean.
Yeah, I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so I'm allowed.
I know. I'm just ouch.
Yeah. Well, deservedly so.
Right.
But that aside, I bet that despite us seeing Danny saying, well, I don't know about that, I think that's part of a clip where he says, as a pro athlete, I don't like to do that, but it's probably not a bad idea here. So I think it takes hold. They do throw the challenge, or at least they try to. I do think it would be funny if they attempt it and one of the other two still end up, managing to do worse than them. But for the moment, I'll just say they succeed. And then they have to go to tribal council. I do think they're going to vote out Nasir because that's about the only storyline we've seen from the Love You tribe.
Yeah, it is interesting. I do feel like There's this weird, like, we really don't know much about the Love You tribe because we really haven't seen very much of them, but that is someone that we have seen highlighted, and we have seen Danny, and I think Danny and Deshaun because they did the sweat component at the beginning, but and then the Sydney angle. So it is interesting because I also feel like though Sydney is stirring the pot a lot because they
Mhm.
showed her talking to everybody. And I am curious if that, even though Nasir might be name dropping, Sydney is airing everybody's dirty laundry, right? And if you are working with Sydney, perhaps you're a little bit concerned that she's going to start sharing your secrets as well. And I don't know, I just feel like sometimes it's sometimes it's better to keep the person that's not a gossip, which might be Nasir, and to eliminate the person who is a gossip because that person is just going to create kind of like that, just an unhappiness around camp because they're kind of, running around talking about people. And I think that if they were going to vote out someone, I think it would be Sydney before Nasir.
Okay. So you think that in this new era of Survivor, they have also changed Hubicki's Law?
Yes.
That could be.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
All
Look at
right.
me.
Well, if by chance Yase goes to tribal council, I will stick with my prediction from last week that Xander will be voted out. I know
Yeah,
that's not a very not it's not much of a risk, as Brad would say.
sure, not at all,
Um,
but it's
yeah,
right.
yeah. I also predict um that on UA, first of all, Shan will end JD's grounding. She will, let him come out of his room and give him back his extra vote, which should earn additional loyalty from him, which is what
Mhm.
she wants.
Right.
And if Ua loses, then I think we have another very predictable result, which is Genie being
Yes.
gone.
I agree. This is the
Um,
problem with such small tribes too.
yes.
I mean, the divisions are so clear so early on that it's really, I mean, you're starting with 6 people.
Hmm.
That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what it will mean is when they eventually merge, there's going to be some people in demand there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Mhm.
So, all right. I also have one more prediction, and that is that RHAP patrons are going to hear from me again before next week because I'll be on the patron Q&A
Yay!
show on Monday night. So if there's anything, well, first, if you're a patron, and there's anything you want to ask me, either about what we've said today, or over the past few weeks, or over the past 5 years, or 20 years,
Whoa,
whatever.
that's going
Just don't
back.
expect me to remember details. Join me and Rob on Monday night.
That would be
And
awesome. I
yeah,
wish I could join you, and it would be really awesome if I could. Unfortunately, work is really piling up, so I'm going to be doing a lot of work on Monday. But I will definitely be listening and supporting you from afar. And I don't know, maybe I should jump in with some
oh, that would
questions.
be funny. What do you think about advantage? My name is Hessica, and I want to know what you think about advantages. Because
I'm
I
Hes
think your
I'm
podcast
Hessica
partner,
Buis.
yeah,
I'll
I
put
think
like a
you're,
mustache on
there
and
you
a
go.
little photo of myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I like that. So anyway, yes, if you're a patron, join Rob and me on Monday night. If you're not a patron, well, then you should check out the RHAP patron program at robhasawebsite.com/patron.
Mhm.
Um, and I know Rob talks about it, we talk about it, but hey, it's worth talking about because then you get things like special Q&A with Rob and a
Mhm.
guest. Um, that Rob just had the monthly patron cast where everybody can call in and ask him questions, and it goes on for hours. There's just this past Friday, there was Patron Mafia back again. And so, you'll see there's just tons and tons of stuff. Um, and of course, there's a Facebook community with all sorts of awesome people talking about Survivor, Big Brother, life in general.
Mhm.
So You should definitely join. You can hurry up and join so that you're there before Monday and you can call into the Q&A.
See, look at that.
Yeah. So go to robhasawebsite.com/patron. And once you get to the Facebook groups or the Q&A, make sure to say hello.
And listen, all of you patrons that are listening to this podcast, be tough on David, okay?
Hey.
Really hard questions. Make him really
Yeah.
think.
I can handle you. I can
Have to
handle them.
justify. Oh, well now. All right. Really, bring it on, patrons. Bring it on.
Yeah, I just set myself up there.
You
Didn't I?
did. That's it.
I'm
You
going to
hear
get
what
like
he-
math.
Did you hear what
I'm
he
going
just
to
said
get like,
about me?
I'm going to get, I meant because you are so good if I can
Oh,
handle
is
you.
that what you meant?
It actually
Uh-huh.
is. Yeah. But hey, I'll just have to stick this one. But yeah, now they're going to hit me with like story problems. Like
I
if
love
one
it.
person has 3 advantages and
Bring
another
it
person has 2
on.
cancellation advantages, what
David
are the
Boche,
odds?
are you listening?
Yes. What are the odds that this will happen? And what's the name of the bus driver?
Yes.
You know.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So where else can people reach us if they have
Oh, yes. I
questions
got
like
distracted by all these
That's okay.
incredible questions that I could be asking you
Yes.
on the Q&A. So you should follow us on Twitter. I am at Jessica Lewis 89 right here. And he is at David Bloomberg. You should follow both of us on Twitter. We do live tweet during the episodes. And we also just tweet during the week, various points and different things, survivor related and life related. So you should definitely follow both of us, get both sides of the story. Because sometimes Bloomberg likes to take credit for things that he shouldn't really take credit for. So then you got to come back to my Twitter and check on that. So I am at Jessica Lewis 89. He is at David Bloomberg.
See how nice I am? I'm just letting you say that and letting it pass.
Yeah.
And only the video people know how much I'm rolling my eyes.
You already know the Q&A is going to be, you're just going to get pummeled. So you're like, now I just have to make
It's
nice.
not that kind of Q&A. It's not a presidential debate.
It should be. There's definitely coming in hot.
Great. We're going to have Jessica's minions.
Oh, you just wait. Love it. Okay.
So also on Twitter, everyone should use the hashtag for this podcast, which is YXLost. And everyone should also make sure you're subscribed to all of the RHAP Survivor podcasts at robhasapodcast.com/survivor or on your favorite podcatcher robhasapodcast.com/subscribe or on your favorite podcatcher. I think I said Survivor. I don't remember. And there you
I was fighting with my microphone.
Yes. You could choose what to subscribe to. I suggest you subscribe to all of Survivor content and all of the reality TV RHAP-ups. And you'll find great content like the Know-It-Alls, the B&B, Taryn Armstrong's new podcast, Shannon Gus's new podcast. So there's so much to listen to that you will never run out, I feel like.
It's really impressive. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea that there were so many things out there until I started doing all of this, and then it's insane. So a lot of things to listen to. Really great content for sure.
Yeah. I listen at 3x and I barely have time to listen to everything. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I do thank yous?
Absolutely.
All right. So I would love to thank Scott St. Pierre for doing all of the editing that he does on the Why Blank Lost audio and video podcast. So thank you so much, Scott, for all the work you do for us, but also RHAP in general, because you work your tail off. And also thank you to Will from America for our incredible theme song that you do here at the beginning of this podcast. So thank you, Will, for that. It is quite enjoyable. You should put it on like your iTunes list or something, and then you can like bop around with that. And thank you, David, for letting me have fun with Post-its today. That was a great time. I definitely enjoyed that. And, you know, maybe I'll just put this one back up there for you just before we're done. So it was great. Good time. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you too. And, you know, not just for the Post-it note, but for a good discussion, you know, even if I'm right. But
don't make me take it down again.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we will see everyone next week, except I will see some of you sooner than that.
That's right.
Bye.